We are learning more tonight about a local teen who was killed in a shooting at a party in Spokane Valley Saturday night, why police say gang violence may be to blame.
And we are headed for the deep freeze this week. Dangerously cold temperatures on the way. I'll have your forecast details next.
WSU quarterback Jaden DeLaura arrested on suspicion of DUI over the weekend. What we know about the arrest and what it means for the football program.
Plus, a new plan is in place to get the Spokane homeless population vaccinated against the coronavirus earlier than expected.
We start with some breaking news tonight. Police say Temple Beth Shalom on Spokane South Hill was vandalized with anti-Semitic graffiti this morning. A swastika was painted on the side of the building, and the Holocaust Memorial on campus was also damaged. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome, I'm Whitney Ward. We want to send things straight over to Regina On, who is now live at the Temple Beth Shalom right now. Regina?
Yeah, guys, just a terrible situation here on the South Hill at the Temple Beth Shalom. As you guys talked about it, those vandalized graffiti that what police say was spray painted on, and Spokane police right now doing their best to investigate the situation. As you mentioned, Mark, one side of the building along with the Holocaust Memorial was damaged. Police spoke with employees this morning and canvassed the neighborhood looking for discarded evidence, and paint samples were also collected for evidence. Neighbors here tell me this is really disturbing news, but for the most part, neighbors tell me that they feel very safe though. Otherwise, mostly elderly people live here. I spoke with a woman who says she recently moved here in the past 30 days because of how safe it is.
It makes me a little nervous, but I'm not really too worried about it because it's so quiet here that I'm not worried about it.
So not too worried about it, as you just saw, but for now they are continuing to investigate the situation. For now, the parking lot is blocked off from anyone going in and out of the temple. And I did reach out to the temple earlier, and hopefully we can speak with the rabbi within the next hour. But for now, again, if you know anything, you saw anything, contact Spokane Police Crime Check. Live here in Spokane on the South Hill, Regina On, KREM 2 News.
Regina, thank you. Also tonight, Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward released a statement in response to what happened. Her statement saying in part, the symbols and writings are disgusting and desecrate a place of worship and a memorial to those whose lives were lost during a hateful time in world history. She says the Spokane Police Department has dedicated numerous resources to investigating this hate crime. In other news, areas all across the inland Northwest bracing for quite a cold snap coming this week.
Yeah, we are talking single digits for overnight lows. Tom Sherrod joining us now. And Tom, what is the lowest temperature we can expect?
I think we may drop down to 3 degrees, but it's also going to be windy at that same time. So we could see wind chill factors that are sub-zero. Lows this week will start out with overnight lows in the teens, and then by the middle of the week and Thursday, we should be down in the low single digits. It should remain mostly dry, though, this week under mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, and you can see the wind is out of the north-northeast at 8 miles per hour. This time of year, that means cold temperatures. 29 degrees right now is the current temperature. We still have some persistent snow that is happening down in southeastern Washington, especially as that moisture ramps up over the Blue Mountains, but it's been mostly dry across most of the inland Northwest. Well, there's the overnight low tonight, gang. 15 degrees the expected low. We'll look for mostly sunny skies on your Tuesday with a daytime high of only 29, meaning we're not going to get above freezing. And you know me, I'm always looking ahead to the weekend, and that's going to be cold as well. 6 degrees the low Saturday morning and a daytime high of only 22. Looks like we'll see a high of 26 on Sunday with an overnight low of 12 degrees. Well, now let's send things over to Thomas Patrick, who is live on Cliff Drive with what we need to know to prepare for the upcoming freeze. Thomas?
Yeah, Tom, and don't mind me if I am shivering a little bit because it did get a lot colder since our 4 o'clock live hit just an hour ago. And yeah, we are expecting those cold temperatures, obviously not just for one night, but all week long. And it isn't just here in Spokane or the inland Northwest. It is the entire United States that is bracing for this Arctic blast all week long through the upcoming weekend. As for what you need to know to prepare for this cold snap, basically any kind of pipes that have any kind of water water in it would be most susceptible to freezing over. So you want to mitigate the potential of that happening. Unhook any garden hoses outside, bring those inside, run your faucets every once in a while just to replenish the water that is inside them. And of course, and it seems obvious, maintain your thermostat. Just keep it on constantly. Even if you're leaving your home for a day, make sure to set that thermostat to at least low, not off. That way your pipes don't freeze, because if they do freeze over, you're going to have a much bigger problem on your hands to deal with. Reporting live in Spokane, I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Thomas, thank you very much. Now a developing story in Spokane Valley. Detectives still trying to solve the murder of a teenager killed at a party. Police responded to several calls of gunshots in the 900 block of South Beige Road around midnight the night before last. Officers say they found a crowd of people standing around 16-year-old Awar Opu, who was lying on the ground in front of the house. He was pronounced dead at that scene. Those partygoers did not want to speak with police, prompting officers then to further investigate if this shooting may be gang-related. Police say it's actually a pandemic, that the pandemic may actually have played a role in an increase in gang violence in the area, because without school, police say kids may be joining gangs. Our Morgan Trow has an exclusive story coming up tonight on KREM 2 News at 6.
Some tough news for the residents of Pine City and Malden. FEMA announced today that it has denied individual assistance to people impacted by the Babb Road wildfire that happened back in the fall. The agency determined the fire impact, quote, wasn't severe enough to warrant individual assistance. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley spoke with Malden's mayor today about the decision.
Washington State requested individual assistance from FEMA for Whitman County. It would provide grants to Malden and Pine City families to rebuild what they lost in the Babb-Malden wildfire. FEMA has denied that request. Malden's Mayor Dan Harwood is disappointed by this decision. He says that federal assistance could have helped 60% of people who were underinsured or not insured at all.
For the citizens in Malden, my heart goes out, because this could have been, through the grants, a way for them to make a down payment on a home, to assist in getting some of the possessions that they lost back through the grant system.
FEMA says the impact to the individuals and households from the wildfire event was not of such severity and magnitude to warrant individual assistance.
You know, Malden's been kind of slapped in the face with this, and that's the way I feel.
Governor Inslee's office will not file an appeal to the denial because historically appeals are not successful. A spokesperson for the governor's office says the state's application was appropriate and is saddened the community will not get the individual assistance, adding it was always going to be a difficult bar to reach.
Our residents and the leadership folks, we're going to go forward one way or another. We're not quitting.
Last week, FEMA approved public assistance to Whitman County, which is used for infrastructure. That includes government buildings, roads, and light poles. The community is now waiting for the Small Business Disaster Declaration. This could bring in low-interest loans for home rebuilding and personal property replacement for those who qualify. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
New today, the city of Spokane has released new information about providing vaccines to local shelters. This as at least one shelter is dealing with the coronavirus outbreak. The first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine are being administered to those experiencing homelessness who qualify for a vaccine. Brandon T. Jones explains the process.
The challenges faced by the homeless were only further complicated once this pandemic hit. Shelters already have close quarters, and adjusting to new protocols wasn't going to be an easy task. I reached out to some local shelters here in Spokane about what this last year has been like for them and what these next steps mean for the most vulnerable population here in our city. The majority of people in Spokane experiencing homelessness will qualify for vaccines under Tier 4 of Phase 1B. That doesn't begin until the spring or summer, but older age groups staying in shelters have begun to receive their first shots.
And everybody else has been hit, and some of them hit pretty hard with this. So, you know, we're just thanking God that we've gotten through this far with no cases.
Truth Ministries has had nearly 15 people volunteer for the vaccine. On a nightly basis, they house around 70 individuals. There haven't been any serious outbreaks at their facility. Other shelters in Spokane have not been as fortunate. Last week, Union Gospel Mission had to stop taking in new people because of an outbreak.
So of course I feel blessed, but at the same time, we're not through.
Currently, anyone over 65 can sign up. Those over 50 in a multi-generational household qualify as well. These next steps to distribute vaccines come at a crucial time. This week will be the coldest since October.
But I think being able to take this next step with vaccinations really feels proactive and really feels like we're going to be able to do something to gain some traction in terms of preventing further spread of COVID.
House of Charity told me they are relieved vaccines are becoming available. Over the course of this pandemic, they've worked with the health department to provide weekly testing for those using the facility.
You know, everyone's really invested in keeping one another healthy and safe.
As long as supply is available, the health district will continue offering clinics at shelters to anyone who qualifies to receive a vaccine. I also got a chance to speak with Family Promise of Spokane. They had a minor outbreak in November, and they told me they're encouraged by these next steps, although they do have a younger demographic. UGM will remain closed to new intakes until February 14th. From Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KRIM 2 News.
Well, tomorrow is the last day to vote in Spokane's special election.
13 of Spokane County's 14 school districts do have levies up for a vote. Spokane's levy would result in an increase in property taxes, a proposal that's drawn some criticism because people are already financially stressed during the pandemic. Meantime, supporters say the pandemic is all the more reason this levy should be passed. All mailed ballots must be postmarked by today. All official ballot drop boxes will be open until 8 p.m. tomorrow. You must register or update your information on your vote in person by 8 p.m. tomorrow night. You can check your voter registration online at wa.gov.
And if you would like more information on the special election, you can just text the word election to 509-448-2000. And again, please watch our election night coverage right here on KRIM 2 News starting tomorrow night.